My name is Catherine Edwards. With me today are my colleagues Casey Markarian and Omar Shadra. We are three of the House Central Staff Attorneys assigned to advise the House Oversight Committee and its subcommittees. Today we are here to provide a report to the committee regarding a matter involving the Michigan Attorney General. First subpoena involved a criminal investigation by the Attorney General's office into allegations that Michigan Attorney Tracy Kornack committed embezzlement from a vulnerable adult. Today we will provide you with a report regarding the documents received from the Attorney General's office in response to this committee's subpoenas. I do want to take a moment to stress that staff is here today to provide you with the facts, documents, emails, and timelines. We are not here to offer our own opinions or conclusions. It will be up to each representative on this committee to decide their own opinions and conclusions that flow from the documents we will be sharing with you today. So at a later point in the presentation, if you ask us a question that calls for a conclusion, please forgive us when we say that we are just here to present the facts and that the conclusions are up to you. We will also share with you the documents from the Attorney General's own files, which establish that Dana Nessel breached the conflict wall in both cases as she intervened on behalf of her personal friend,
Tracy Kornack.
It is Attorney General Dana Nessel's conduct when there was a conflict wall in place that is the subject of this presentation. Hopefully we won't get too lost in the details of the two cases the Attorney General's office was supposed to handle. At this point, I will turn over the presentation to Mr. Shadra to explain to you what a conflict wall or isolation wall is and how the Attorney General and her staff members are required to act when there is a conflict wall in place.
Now, isolation walls are used in situations where there is a conflict of interest or a potential for one in a particular case or investigation. Isolation walls are implemented for the purpose of preventing any appearance of impropriety or a bias and to keep intact the integrity of an investigation. Now, the Attorney General's office has its own internal manual that provides the framework for creating an isolation wall. This framework ensures that an individual with a potential conflict in a case is completely shielded from any communication, correspondences, or documents related to that matter. The decision to put up an isolation wall is made by senior leadership within that agency, to include an ethics officer who drafts the isolation wall language. It's important to note that a conflict exists at the time a conflict exists, and disclosure of its existence is necessary without exception. In addition, the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct, Rule 1.7 to 1.9, govern conflicts of interest for all attorneys and prosecutors. Every attorney in the state swears an oath to uphold these rules, which further ensures when conflicts arise that they're managed appropriately and investigations are handled fairly and without issue. There is also the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct, Rule 3.8, the special duties of a prosecutor. This rule exists for one fundamental reason. Prosecutors are entrusted with extraordinary power, they hold the pen that can alter lives, and their decisions can directly shape the outcome of a case. Because they serve not merely as advocates but as ministers of justice, their authority carries a weight unlike any other in the legal system. With that power must come an equally high standard of accountability. The integrity of our justice system depends on ensuring that prosecutors exercise their authority with impartiality, restraint, and unwavering commitment to fairness. As we begin today's presentation, I want to center the committee on the governing standard for attorney conduct in the state of Michigan. Rule 8.4 of the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct defines what constitutes professional misconduct. I ask that you pay particular attention to subsection C, which provides that an attorney engages in misconduct when they engage in conduct that is prejudicial to the administration of justice. This principle is critical to our work today. As you listen to the testimony and examine the facts surrounding the alleged breaches of the isolation wall, I urge you to evaluate whether these actions individually or collectively may have compromised, undermined, or otherwise interfere with the fair administration of justice. Now, in this particular case, the Attorney General's office triggers a firewall on an individual by the name of Tracy Kornack due to a relationship established with the Attorney General. Now, it's important to note that this was an internal decision that was made by senior leadership in the AG's office who deemed it necessary at the time. Tracy Kornack is a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan. At the time of this investigation, she had a personal relationship with Attorney General Dana Nessel and was under consideration by the governor's office for a potential judicial appointment. This background provides relevant context for the committee as it considers how Kornack later became involved in this matter. While no conclusions are being drawn, understanding these professional and political connections is important in evaluating the circumstances surrounding the decision-making process.
Are we invading Ms. Bird's privacy by putting up this picture or this information about her, or by talking about what happened to her during the course of these events? My answer is no, we're not. The Michigan Supreme Court in 1991 issued an opinion stating that deceased persons have no legally protectable privacy rights. That was Swickard versus Wayne County Medical Examiner, 438 Mich. 536 of 1991, written by Justice Dorothy Comstock Riley. Invasion of privacy simply is not a cause of action for a person who is deceased.
Now, Kornack's involvement in this case begins when she was appointed as a conservator for a senior citizen by the name of Rosaline Bird, who was a resident ward at the Heather Hills long-term care facility that suffered from multiple complex medical conditions. The responsibilities and limitations of a conservator differ significantly from those of a guardian. In her conservator role, Kornack began authorizing and providing enhanced care services for Ms. Burd and billing State Farm insurance for the services rendered. Concerns were eventually raised by Senior Director and whistleblower Joe LeBlanc at the facility regarding the accuracy and nature of those billing practices, prompting questions about potential misappropriations and fraud, of which Ms. Burd was the victim. Those concerns were ultimately provided to the Detroit News, which publicly broke the story and triggered the Attorney General's office's investigation on July 13 of 2022. Now, we know based on the information received from our document request that Dana Nessel's office opens the investigation based solely on this reporting. Now, as stated before, given the relation between Kornack and Dana Nessel, her office puts up an isolation wall to screen Dana Nessel from the case. We also identified evidence found within the Attorney General's office's possession that raises serious questions about potential intent. In these text message records, Tracy Kornack appears to offer the Heather Hills facility a 10% kickback in connection with the recovering funds that State Farm had previously paid out. While we are not making accusations, the nature of this communication strongly suggests conduct that warrants closer scrutiny by this committee. Furthermore, we discovered additional evidence in the Attorney General's possession, including emails from State Farm to Ms. Kornack, raising concerns about her billing practices. This correspondence further underscores the need for a thorough review of her actions and intent. Mr. Markarian will provide a more in-depth timeline of the chain of events that ultimately led to the breach of the isolation wall and provide you with documents that support this breach.
The grand jury experience coming in 2026.